First of all, you guys made a mistake. We made a mistake. Do you know, I really want to do not this IoT governance, digital governance. That's the top level. But you didn't vote. So the digital governance is not one of those 15. And this is one of the 15. So the good or bad, I cover this one. And next year, I'll cover the digital governance, and which is much better as an introduction than this. That doesn't mean that this is not important. Okay, this is important. And for the internet governance, those experts, this is so much easier to understand. And digital governance is very difficult. For example, I'll show you the next diagram. You see the AI governance. You have any idea? AI governance? Can you define the multi-stakeholder on the AI governance? No chance. Okay, and so I really should start from the digital governance, but that's what you guys vote. Okay. First of all, is IoT governance important? Or why is it? Why this is important? Now, like a typically, if it's not very important, we'd better defer until those American guys and the European, just let them suffer to come up with a good curriculum and the books. Then when things are settled, then we just use it. It's so much easier. But it seems to be so important. So I don't think we should delay. And those are the reasons. This one I'm going to, or we'll explore later, okay? I don't explain now. Next, this is the crux. Okay, you guys, we are internet governance experts and the leaders. Can we scale internet governance in such a way, whatever we know can cover the IoT governance? If it's yes, we are lucky, easy. And if not, it'll be tough. Next, why I'm going to sort of insisting to this one in Asia is IoT governance important to the Asia in particular, or is more important in the USA or Europe, or about same? It's a thing we have to think about. Okay. And one hint is IoT eventually will have 1 trillion. Do you know how big is 1 trillion? Okay, okay, population. If everyone was, all of us connect to the internet, then it's 7 billion. And 1 trillion is you have to put a couple more zeros. Next question. Okay, down the line, 10, 20, 30 years later, out of those 1 trillion devices, how many are made in Asia? That is something you have to think about. I can guarantee you, definitely way more than 50%. Okay? Then if that's the case, we should be in a driving seat rather than a back seat. Just, okay. Just, I had a diagram somewhere. You don't see the diagram?
Slide number 2. Yes.
Oh, yeah, here. Okay. This is an introduction to the Internet Governance Extended. Okay. Let's sort of discuss in terms of those economics, okay? Here is the internet economics. This size is sort of proportional to the size. And if you're interested in domain name industry, because many people, especially in ICANN, is interested in the domain name industry, it's about size of about this much, about this size, this all, somewhere around here, negligible. Okay, so the first of all, we have a global economy, roughly $100 trillion, $100 trillion. So you just put in a mind, it's like a 100 trillion. And then we have a couple of those major data economy, IoT economy, and AI economy. Every one of them is roughly multiple of $1 trillion, each one of them. And collectively, digital economy is somewhere between $10 billion or more, and growing. Okay, eventually digital economy will be the, say like a 20, 30, 40% of our global economy. That's what we usually say, right? IT is sort of leading, and eventually they dominate. And then the internet economy is this is the way we started. Okay, and so this is sort of a subset of the IoT economy. Or IoT economy, you may say like is an extended version of internet economy. So is the data economy, also extended version of internet economy. And the AI economy it pretty much has quite an overlapping with the internet economy. Then the governance just sort of follow. Okay, so the digital economy comes to the digital governance. AI economy comes to the AI governance. And the IoT economy, IoT governance, and the data economy, data governance. That's how things develop. Then the digital economy sort of cover pretty much everything. So the first lecture should be really in digital governance. Okay, and but because of voting, we don't do that way. Okay, the introduction. IoT governance and the internet governance. And I explained the first part. And IoT governance is, in a sense, is a special, closest to the internet governance compared to the others. Others seems to be substantially different. Whatever the concept we have may not work too well. But IoT is the one with a substantial modifications seems to be works. That's something I want to convince you guys. Okay, in this lecture over 90 minutes. And if you want to see, go to the our website, and if you see the program, they call the Internet Governance Extended. That sort of show the each one of them. And every those topic, there's a PowerPoint. It may be a stable PowerPoint, or it's still very early draft stage, but we do have, so that you can get some idea. And the article, no, not really. For digital governance, yes, I have article, but which I need, I had to revise substantially, simply because of AI, because I didn't cover the AI portion. So that I had to modify about 20% of my article. The rest of them, no, we don't have yet. And I was expecting somebody else to give a lecture, like a cybersecurity governance or data governance, and but otherwise I will do it. Then I did a cyberspace governance. There's an article, and IGF workshop, and a PowerPoint, I have everything. And cybersecurity governance, I guess it's a fairly stable, those are PowerPoint file, you can see. Okay. Okay, let's go to the history. Somehow, after the Asia Internet history book, I always do the history first. And first of all, very first one, when did we start the IoT? I guess 1970s. As soon as we developed the ARPANET, today we call the internet, then those graduate students thought, is there anything we can connect to the ARPANET? Then somebody said like, oh, let's connect the refrigerator. Or let's connect a toaster. Because toaster is in a sense very simple. The only information is on and off, right? It's a toasted or not. So it's fairly simple. And they did it. I guess the guy at the MIT did it. And it's a very simple. That's the probably first non-human user of internet back in the 70s. Then this person, Mark Beiser, came up with ubiquitous computing. It was remarkable. Probably he was ahead of time by 10 to 20 years. So we'll have a computer. Then we have those screen-size computer. Then we have those tiny size computer. Then we have this kind of tag-like computer. Back in 90. It was remarkable. You may read this article sometime. It's very good. Then somehow, 1999, whatever the reason, it happened so many things at the same time. The Bill Joy, the super programmer, he's about probably 100 times as productive as a regular programmer. While he is falling asleep, still he can program. So I just cannot think about it. He came up with this idea about D2D, device to device concept. Then UC Berkeley, they came up with a tiny OS. With a very tiny device, is there any way we can put the OS inside? It's a very primitive. Like a memory size, how much you can have, so like a 4K byte. Can you put the OS? And they did it. And without this, we can have IoT. Because in order to have IoT, it's obvious. The TCP/IP should work, right? In order for the TCP/IP to work, you have to have an OS. And it's this tiny one. And this one impact the smartphone. If I go sideways, okay, before Bill Joy, Apple made a smartphone. Okay, Korea, we had if we look at just smartphone, we have it. So they actually, those LG, they even sue the Apple because they copy. If you look at this product, it looks identical. Only difference is this product that made in Korea doesn't have OS. And the Apple had an OS. Then application-wise, actually Japan, NTT could sue the Apple. Almost all applications sort of pretty much come from the Japanese, they call it iMode. Then the difference is architecture. They put the OS and the application, like a computer. That's we couldn't do it, Japan or Korea. Okay, then this auto ID center with RFID. This is a passive. You may call it passive IoT. Doesn't have OS. Okay, just sort of the React. This is done by the MIT. So with those three, basically we are ready for the IoT. Then 2015, about a couple of years ago, 10 billion IoT. This is important. Now IoT is bigger than the human users. Okay, then it will be forever. Eventually, we end up in a trillion. So how do we do the 100 billion and 1 trillion those devices to connect to the internet? So what will happen is, internet is for the machine, but they also support a human being. That's the sort of direction we are heading. And then, of course, those security. First, we had the first gigantic DDoS using IoT. And last year, called the Mirai Worm. This is, if you know the Japanese, it's a remarkable name. Mirai means future in Japanese. It's really a future, the worm. For many of us, I don't know if Susan agree or not, for many of us, security or the cyber attack through the human beings, in a sense, it's manageable. Okay, but something goes through the those device. I don't know how we can manage. 1 trillion device, using those 1 trillion device and propagating those worm, how can we handle? And that's a challenge. We had the first serious case. And I'm going to explain this one. And I personally believe Asia has to solve this problem. Because the majority of those devices will come from the Asia. Okay? And we use those technology quite a lot in Asia. And we are usually good at those something small, something those mechanical, rather than those dealing with a human. So I guess we should think this is our challenge in Asia. Okay, today we have a problem. Major industry alliance, internet governance, and this IoT governance. One of the fundamental difference is, for example, standardization in the previous lecture. What we did is first ITF come up with a standard, and all those technical people, academic people contribute, and we develop a software standard and the software, and we use about 10 years. Then we deploy. Like a TCP/IP. We developed in the mid-1970s, and we spent 10 years, and the mid-80s, we deployed. Okay, so everything is orderly. And the internet governance community, including ITF, can dictate. This is a practice. This is a internet policy principle. Then the industry, they follow. Doesn't work that way. First problem is, I showed you a diagram. Internet governance, in particular, internet domain name industry, it's a $1 billion industry. It's very tiny, almost negligible. Okay, this IoT industry, $1 trillion, about 1,000 times bigger than a domain name industry. Then all those major company, they may not be interested in $1 billion. Like I almost joke like this way. Do you know how big is the domain name industry? Several $1 billion. That's annual, globally. Okay, like Korea, we have a company called the Samsung. They are in a good shape. They make a lot of money and they make a lot of profit. Their 1 month salary, 1 month profit is several $1 billion. About same size annual sale of a domain name industry. Okay, so once it's this big, then it doesn't matter either Samsung, IBM, or GM. They don't want to miss a boat. Even if they can grab this like a 5%, 10%, it's a fortune. Okay, so what they do is make an industry alliance. And they don't wait until standard to develop. They develop a standard. So if you are interested, go to the homepage. Then there's a IoT standardization wall. And they show all those major players. And ITF is not one of them. Then how do we have those governance structure? So whatever we did in the last about 30 years doesn't work anymore. Then can you create those new governance system? Good part is basically this structure. Governance, those structure may work in this area. So still we are better than say like AI governance or the security governance. Because basically this structure works, but the way we do may be totally different. Okay, and you can see the all scene and internet, 1M, M2M. M2M is that's a European notation. We call the IoT. Europe call the machine to machine. Okay, and so if you see the M2M, and then you can see that's a European. Then Open Internet Consortium, Fred, there's many. It's a kind of a war. Who is going to dominate? You just don't know. Okay. Then we have those national consortium, like German. They call the Industry 4.0, and the USA like GM and the GE. Also, they have those consortium. It's all those major players. Because this IoT is so pervasive. And then how do we develop a governance? Or shall we just give up a governance? I'm going to show you the issue list. No, we can't. That could be the end of the world. we have to have a governance. Okay, first the problem is there's a major technology throughout. In the bottom, okay, we have to have those wireless, those mobile technology, standardization. This technology is very, very critical. Okay, without those, it just doesn't work. Then a network, again, the IoT network is very different from the one we human being use. Okay, well, of course we share, but it's substantially different. And then how do we develop those networks? Then IoT always kind of a dual relationship. IoT, if you look at different, this side IoT, if you look at this side, it's a data. So the data governance and the IoT governance, you cannot separate. So the technology, first of all, you have to come up with a technology. How do we do it? Then we can do the governance. And they sort of has to come together. Then there's a cloud. Cloud to serve the, not the human being. Cloud to serve those IoT. So this is a danger. This whole thing, huge things, they operate on their own without human being. Then later they may say like, it's so much better if we don't have a human being. Because this human beings is annoying and disruptive. They cause all those problems. Then how do we do it? That's the sort of a view from the Trillium device. Then since it is so huge, like a trillion, so the conventional those analysis scheme, approach may not work. So that you have to do you tend to do those analytic. If you don't know what does mean by the analytic, it's more like almost like AI. That seems to be the practical way to handle. So it's again, if in terms of the governance, it's even worse. Like since we don't know how to do the AI governance. At least what we know is that whatever we do in internet governance won't work over there. Multi-stakeholder in AI governance, no chance. Even IoT governance, multi-stakeholder, even if we have one, is substantially different from what we know. And then it's again, the whole thing is we duplicate. We have to go through those standardization in every layer. Okay, then all those standardization, they do differently from the internet standardization. And basically it's dictated by the commercial player. Money, huge money. And then to make it worse, as I said, those internet standardization body is invisible over there. So their practice is very different. Like back in the 1970s and the 80s, it's a very academic, and if you think from now, it's a very naive. We all join as an individual at the IETF. You don't represent anybody, just on your own. Then we develop, and we have to provide a source code. If there's no source code, we don't recognize as a standard. Then we need two implementation. And they should interwork, otherwise we don't recognize. Then we just spend 5 years or 10 years or whatever until we satisfy. Then we say like, okay, here now you can use. So the TCP/IP was basically ready 1974. Okay, and actually original version was ready in 1971. And the actual deployment in 1983, 10 years later, roughly. That's what we did. And now they just deploy, even without standard. Then sort of recognized as a standard later. The reason is the money. If you do this way, then we can make say like $10 billion or $100 billion, or you can have a market share of such and such. Then the company, industry, they just don't wait, right? Otherwise, they may just lose the whole market. And that's the area we just don't know. What we know is like ICANN-based internet governance, $2-4 billion industry. And this one is a $2-5 trillion industry. So it doesn't scale, unfortunately. And to make it worse, IoT is pervasive. Almost every aspect of society. Like all those buildings, you call the smart building, smart house. That's a big market, right? Like a Samsung in Korea and the LG, they have to survive. They have to have a global share. That's a building area. Then energy. Again, you know, it's a huge area, and it's so complex. So without those IoT-based system, it won't function. And that's the best way to attack. Security. Then those energy companies, you think they pay attention to make a system safe? first of all, they have to make money. They have to protect the share. Then they think about the security. Not the security first, unfortunately. And the healthcare, yes, it is very important. And then we all know, all our body, we have those IoT. And then those high school kids, unfortunately, they, okay, let's compete. Who can hack those IoT devices in my body? Right? I mean, that's the unfortunate teenager like those kind of hacking. And we just tell them, don't do it. I mean, it just doesn't solve. Then the logistics system, obvious, it's very well deployed now, and it will be more so because logistics become extremely complex. Manufacturing and the media and the mobility and the retail is just pretty much whole industry. Now this is the reason why, like German as a nation, they call the Industry 4.0, and the USA, all those major corporations come up with industry, internet, and all those. Okay, it's a big stake. Or issue. Those are these some of the issue I can think about. Okay, and I may be sketchy, and if you have some idea, just let me know. Okay, I can add to this one. Okay, data. First of all, this we develop a huge data based on those IoT. It's a gigantic. You cannot even imagine. And those data, are they, how do we handle? Do we handle those data as a public data, or the private data, or is something else? We don't know. These are those companies who generating their own, operating on this data. You think, do they know? No. That's the reason why I asked K.S. Park, I don't know if he's here or not, or here. I asked him to give a lecture on those data governance, and then we ask do the case study, because Google knows some. Because they own those, is one of those major players in this area, and how they do it. Then naturally they will say inevitably, oh, that's their private data. It's not public data. Because if it is public data, they have a more headache. So is Facebook. But by all account, I guess it's much more healthy if we treat them as a public data, so that we can become a stakeholder. If it's a private data, then we cannot be a stakeholder, right? And then the CCTV. Who owns this data generated by the CCTV? And it's a very substantial, and then getting those higher definition as technology progress. And if we use properly, it's extremely powerful. But do we use properly? Environment data, this is still better. People tend to cooperate. Okay, and so I personally think probably environment data may be the first one for us to approach, because this is one of the easiest to agree globally. Then I develop those model, and then the multi-stakeholder works here. Then we sort of push. Let's generalize to cover the other area. Okay, then things we don't know is intranet data governance. Like an automobile company, how about gigantic data, and they are generating huge amount. You cannot think about. You may not be able to imagine. And those data is a purely, those are private data of a company. One thing I was kind of shocked. Then I agree. Why Tesla's stock market capitalization bigger than GM? As a company's value, Tesla, they produce about 50,000 cars per year. Is bigger than General Motors, who produce 10 million cars per year. Do you know why? Why those are the people who have the money to invest on a Tesla, not on a GM? Because Tesla generates much more data than GM. Every car Tesla produce is a sort of a data generator. And all those data, Tesla is controlling. So a Tesla can move to the next phase far better than GM. So the data is that important. And are they going to agree to release some of those data for the public sake? Privacy, this is a hot issue now. And most of when we say government governance, then typically this is a privacy. And then we are not catching up with those technology. For example, a smartphone can do so many things on say monitoring the your children, youth, and that's naturally influence their privacy. Then technology is so powerful that do you want to protect your children using this technology? Or for the privacy sake, shall we restrict? And then by the time we come up with some idea, technology went much further away. Moved so fast on the technology development. So I'm not too optimistic, because the way we develop those governance structure on the privacy is way too slow. So it seems we have to change the scheme almost fundamentally. Not that the way we develop the internet governance, just way too slow. Has to move much faster, somehow. And then if you want to read what's those issue, FTC in the US government, Fair Trade Commission, they wrote a very good article. Now you can find in our website, so that you may take a look at. Security. This is another big area we are dealing with in IoT. And conclusion, hopeless. Why? Okay, first of all, who is responsible for the security? Okay, like in the Mirai, those are virus. Then we say just update those software, right? So whoever making those next generation Mirai, we can protect it. Previously, yes, we could do it, and we did it. Typically, Microsoft send us some software, and we software patch. Okay, problem is those devices. Many of those devices cost $2, $3. How can you? And who is going to do this software update? Then the number, billion. I mean, if it's cost $1,000, like our computer, and then it's easy, and you care, and you want to update. But $2 stuff. Then, okay, then let's replace it. Can you replace up in those, the bar? Up in the air. You have to climb up on those pole to replace. Do you know how much does it cost to replace one? Physically, they cost $2 or $3. Then you have a billion or 10 billion of them. So this parameter changed completely. So the software update, we cannot do it. Now replacing, economically it doesn't make sense. Then to make it worse, who is responsible? So the semiconductor, it's every one of them has those chips. So the semiconductor company, they should update. Using semiconductor company knows how to join this internet governance and discuss with us. They are interested in making, say, like 1 million per day, if it's not 10 million per day. Then those device maker, this is a problem we have. It's just time will come. Okay, this device maker is not a big thing. Some of those are tiny company, like 5 people working in Bangladesh or in Nepal or in India. Only the 5 people working. Okay, they make those devices. You think they joined those internet governance forum to discuss? You know, you are from those areas. So you know, in your company, those are tiny company, only the 5 people working or 10 people. Do you think they can come to the IGF meeting to discuss? No chance. But see, then system provider, if they can make money, they will do it. Otherwise, not much chance. So anybody else? Government? As a last resort? And we don't want to have a government to dictate us, right? And so the fundamental, is there any those cost-effective way to do those software update or the replacement or whatever? We don't know. In the meantime, like last year it's 15 billion. This year it will be 20 billion. Next year it will be 50 billion, 100 billion, and a trillion. It's just coming. They don't wait for us. If they can make money, if it's convenient, they just do it. And we just don't know what's the best way. And if you are interested in this one, NIST in the USA, they are organizing a workshop. It's a working group meeting. It's very good. Of course, it's expensive to participate, but they are sort of leading globally, and you may consider to join. And we, Asia, developing country, how do we do it? And we are providing those devices now already, and eventually we are providing more than half. Okay, eventually we provide say like $500 billion. Those come from us, so that we don't say we are outsider. We are the main player globally. So the initiative has to come from us, not the USA or Europe, because they are a minor player. Of course, they'll join the meeting, but we have to drive. So are we ready? Okay, and look at different way. Oh, this is opportunity. Finally, we can be in a driving seat in the whole those development, standardization, and the governance. It's coming to us. Okay, finally. So we are not a passenger seat anymore. That's the reason why I'm giving this lecture here now. And we have to have those geographical harmonization. What's the role of USA, Europe, and us? We have to think about. And previous internet governance, those paradigm won't work anymore. First of all, Americans, they don't care much on this one. Oh, it's your problem, right? Because we are providing. So we have to just adjust to those new paradigm, and it's not easy. We are getting used to the go IGF or ICANN anywhere. We are used to sitting in the back and listening and occasionally making a comment. But now we have to change our mode of participation. Okay. Then another thing my concern is that between the U.S. and Europe, okay, they have those arguments about they fight and cooperate. They have those protocol. They have been spending the last about 30 to 40 years, and we don't have that protocol between us and the USA, us and the European Commission. And in this new paradigm, we have to set up. And who is going to set up? If we have a European Commission-like organization in Asia, then so much easier. But we don't have it. That may be a handicap or maybe the advantage. Okay, but either way, we have to set up this protocol too. Otherwise, we cannot have a global harmonization. Without global harmonization, this world will be a mess. Then interdisciplinary harmonization. This is the area that is extremely interdisciplinary. Not just social scientists and natural scientists. Industry-wise, it's interdisciplinary. And also in all sort. And we just cannot deal with the IoT alone. As I said, we have to deal with the security governance and the data governance together. Of course, IoT here is in the middle, but we have to think about the data and the security governance. And this is one I just explained. NTIA, they organized those workshops, and because they thought that this is a headache. So they call the upgradability. Is there any way we can upgrade the software? Previously it was trivial. Microsoft does all the time. But here, back to the origin. Is there any way we can upgrade? And can we have those patching? And regardless, actually this activity, majority of activity, sooner or later will be done in Asia, not in the USA or Europe. Okay, so we have to back again. We have to be the, we better be in the driving seat if we have to do it. And so this group, still like USA, they are meeting regularly, about twice or three times a year. Okay, open up a question or discussion.